we've had to see kind of a shift in everybody's marketing strategy. Users' behaviour has completely changed over the last couple of months. No matter what sector you work in, no matter what kind of service you deliver, people aren't thinking or aren't acting as we've been able to kind of report on previously. So everything's had to change. We've had to be really, really agile.
We understand that it's never going to be the same now. So the companies like obviously Twitter and Facebook all going, well, now you can all just work from home forever. It's about having that balance, because I know there's quite a few people in our team, because we've all adapted pretty well to working from home, but everyone's actually quite desperate to get back in the office again, because it's that kind of mental health piece of actually it's really good to get some social interaction. But then actually the flip side is there going to be a lot of people with anxiety and that are scared to come back to work because that social distancing in some cases just isn't possible. But I think we will obviously see a lot more work from home, and I think it's about that balance, and I think organisations need to bear that in mind and be flexible, not just say, right, you're all back in the office now, go. It's more kind of keeping that mindset of thinking, well, we can and we have adapted to working from home, so that is an option that could be explored. But for some people,
technology to allow remote working and collaborating in this way has been around for so long, and I can remember if going back a few years when these sort of technologies first came about, and it was like, oh, it was going to revolutionise everything, and it didn't. There was an uptake in tech businesses, obviously, so there has to be a lot of trust between teams, between management and workers, and just lots of different issues really, and the uptake just didn't happen then, and now it's being kind of forced on a lot of businesses with this situation, and they've had to mobilise their teams. They've done that without really too much trouble, I think. But I think the main thing is that people have actually become more
colleagues in London, where the office accommodation is really very, very expensive. There's one of them works in Bank, right in the heart of the city, and what they're looking at is just get rid of the office altogether and have people work from home, and it's going to make a very, very big difference to their cost base, but also the nature of people working in London. Quite a few of them have flats in London, so they can work there during the week and then they go back home for the weekend, and they're saying, well, I can just sell my flat in London now and buy a much bigger place in the country. I don't have to come in again. Now, once that starts to take place, it will take some time for that to change again, which will have quite an interesting change the dynamic on. Well, it's not just the property rentals. I mean, most of those big properties are owned by pension companies. So they're probably going to find quite a lot of their office space unoccupied, or they're going to have to reduce the rent, which is going to have a longer term effect on pensions.
For current climate, UK investors seem to be even more tentative than they might have been in some high risk industries, for example biotechnology. But I guess the positive side of it is that if we are moving digital, we won't just be limited to the UK. If we're doing a financial pitching session or something like this, it could be global. So we're trying to progress some of those ideas at the minute through the lab.
What's everyone's thoughts on August, when the government announced bringing back people part-time? Is that a trigger point, or I think it's a game of chess at the minute, and I think the people who make the right moves at the right time and make them bold moves will come out
in the same situation. So then we're trying to be as flexible as we can with our clients, and whether it's pausing subscriptions or trying to help them out as well. But it's I think this is where the whole thing breaks down, is everybody's really got to do the best they can, say to keep things moving, and if we're not careful, that's where we do get into recession.
And trying to really make a big gamble on a business decision. It's a chunk of money to make that big operational change to a process that was kind of finely tuned and quite efficient. And if it needs to change totally and you've got to spend a load of money on that, is it worthwhile if everything's going to change again and you can almost go back to what you were doing back in September?
Especially at the minute, what we're finding, or what we're more interested in terms of speaking to people at the minute, it's just to see how everyone else is finding that sector too. Any kind of insights into something that's been so booming and so prevalent at the moment. It's a lot to take on, and it's a massive migration that we possibly wouldn't expect